Is Lisa, is Ryan there? I saw him earlier.
We are ready.
There we are.
We're just very full, we're very full building.
Good, good morning. Okay, T minus.
Do we have a lawyer today?
We do on the phone.
Okay,
Jessica's on the phone.
okay, good deal.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. We are ready. Okay. Good morning, everyone. June 3rd meeting. It's 10 a.m. And I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have a full house, it looks like. We got a lot on the agenda, so we'll get started. I've asked Randy to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd all stand. And then after that, Ryan Breeden from the Church of Christ in Payson will lead us in our invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Pray with me, please. Dear God, we are grateful and humbled to be in your presence this morning, to come here in this beautiful town where we live, in this wonderful state, in this country where we live. And God, we're blessed by you with all of the things that you have given us here where we live, and the people that you have made us into, and the society that we are able to live in. And God, we know that we are in troubled times, times of trouble economically, times of trouble with war, times of trouble politically. And we just pray that you would give the Board of Supervisors and the elected officials that we have, and the ones who are deputized and do the work for us in terms of maintaining law and order and fire safety and all these different things. We just ask that you would bless them and give them wisdom in how they lead us and how they serve us in the decisions that they make. That you would also give us, the citizens, humility, that we would recognize that there is important roles that are played by those who are elected and by those who serve, and that we would give them compassion and grace, recognizing the challenges that they face. Most of all, God, we ask that you would show all of us compassion and grace, because we are flawed. And we do fail, and we make some phenomenally stupid decisions sometimes. But God, we know that your grace is sufficient to cover that, and we pray that you would be with us as people in Gila County, as Arizonans, as United States citizens, and just as people of the world, that you would strengthen our character and strengthen our wisdom, that we might continue to be a great nation before you. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay. Item number 2 is our public hearing section. Item A is information, discussion, and action to approve the Gila County Planning and Zoning Commission bylaws. We have Randy Plummer.
Morning, Supervisors, Chairman. So what this is under ARS statute, it says that the Planning and Zoning Commission is to have rules and bylaws set up. And we've had them in the past. We had them in 2 separate sections. We had Planning and Zoning Commission rules and orientations and bylaws. And we got with our county attorney, Jessica, who did a fantastic job and combined the 2 into one document. And she rewrote it to put the shalls where they should have been and where the mays should have been. And the commission voted on this and approved it. And we're just bringing this before you for your consideration. That these are how that the meetings will be ran and who will run them, where they're ran at, all that kind of information. And we've had meetings with them, with the county attorney and everyone, and went through all the items, and we're here before you today to answer any questions you may have on this.
Thank you, Randy. Supervisor Humphrey, do you have anything?
I don't, other than I appreciate you doing the work, and Jessica as well, and getting this to perform better. And I also thank the people that are on the commission. That's all.
Thank you.
Supervisor Klein?
Randy, thank you. I'm good.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. Always tweaking for the better. Yes,
Yes, sir.
okay. With that, I'll close this discussion and open it up to the public hearing portion on item 2A. Is there anyone in Globe that wishes to speak about this item? Anyone in Payson about this item?
No, sir.
And on the internet, there's no comments on the internet? Okay, I'll close the public hearing portion and call for a motion for item 2A.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Gila County Planning and Zoning Commission bylaws.
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Randy. Item 2B, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 25-06-01, which approves Gila County Community Development Case Number CUPP 2503-001, a request by Pinnacle Consulting Incorporated on behalf of Sunstate Towers, Verizon Wireless, the applicant, and Michael Runzo, the owner of the property, for a conditional use permit upon Gila County's Assessor's Tax Parcel Number 302-29003M, which is located at 265 West Liberty Lane, which is in Freedom Acres, just north of Payson. Thank you, Randy.
Morning again. So I want to make sure we understand that this requires a unanimous vote. There's enough people against this that it kicks in our bylaws and our rules and ordinance. It says that it needs to be a unanimous decision. As of today, we have 10 emails in support of the tower and 4 emails opposed to the tower, and over 20% of the people within 300 feet of the tower are opposed. So that's why it kicks in the unanimous requirement.
And how many property owners is that?
There's 8 property owners within the 20 feet, or within the 300 feet.
Okay.
And I will tell you their concerns are they would like to place it on the Forest Service land. There are private roads, and they are concerned about the wear and tear. 911 calls can be made via satellite. There's health concerns of increased exposure to radio frequencies. Property values and aesthetics is negatively impacted in the neighborhood. Safety concerns, risk for damage to well houses and water tanks due to the tower collapse. Negative impact of wildlife. If CUP is granted, would additional businesses be permitted? Aspects of rural living would be affected. The people in support, the tower is needed due to the limited no service in the area. Tower would be vital safety link for emergencies. So again, we're here today for a tower in Freedom Acres. This is at the end of Freedom Acres, at the end of their road. And I will tell you, it is approximately 40 to 50 feet away from Forest Service land. It is on private property. This again is for a parcel 302-29003M. They want to construct a 110-foot monopole wireless communication tower provided for coverage for the surrounding area. The monopole will be painted in a rustic bronze color to blend in with the natural environment. Per the applicant, the proposed tower will be engineered and designed within a fall zone that will not encroach on any adjacent properties, public right-of-way, or unrelated structures. The compound will be a 40 by 40 compound, will be established to house the ground equipment which will be screened by a 6-foot tall rustic metal panel screen wall. Antenna configuration. The monopole will include antennas located at the centerline elevation of 105 feet, grouped into 3 sectors to provide full spectrum coverage. The tower will be designed to accommodate up to 2 additional wireless carriers in the future. The tower is proposed to be located on APN 302-29003M in the northwest corner of the 2.49 acre property. The tower component will be accessed through Liberty Lane onto the private lot. Power and telecommunications are the only utilities required by this facility. Power posts and telecom communication hubs are near the site area. All accessory cabling and conduit will be routed underground in the approved utility easement. The site will include all required lease space access utility easements as shown in the plans, see Exhibit A. A backup generator will be installed and ran for 15 minutes a week. We have done all of the postings and all of the public communications in the newspapers as required by statute. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Randy. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Randy, and I don't know if you can answer these or not, but to start with, is Freedom Acres, is it under an HOA?
It has a land group. They do have CC&Rs. I do not know if it's an official HOA, but they have been notified, and they've been notified within the 300 feet.
Okay.
And they are private roads, and the road maintenance is paid for by the
Constituents.
owners of the properties inside of Freedom Acres.
So I read letter on the road, and there seems to be a concern on that as well. You know, because everybody, I would assume, coming into that, the road coming into that property, everybody owns to the center of the property, or to the center of the road. So how does that work in a circumstance like this? Because it is going to be a commercial type setup as well. Is the tower group going to pitch in here and help anything with the roads, or are they just going to leave it like it is and rely on the homeowners to continue to maintain? What's the story there?
I do not know, and I believe the tower company is represented today.
Okay.
So we can hear from, I don't know if they have anything like that, but I believe it would be like anything else. If you bring, Amazon comes in, or any of the delivery companies, they just use the roads. They are not chipping in to help with the maintenance of those roads. But I don't know if they have any special agreement with the HOA to chip in.
Okay, so you mentioned the fact that the tower's within about 40 feet of boundary with the forest.
Correct.
Has the forest been contacted, or has it been pursued for a permit on the forest side?
Forest Service is always around. I mean, it's around everything we have. But they require that the telecommunications company and the tower company exhaust all other aspects. So if there's any place they can go, then I believe the Forest Service requires them to exhaust those requirements. Again, the representatives for the tower company, we can make sure, but they have stated that this is exhausting. They're trying all the places they can.
Okay. I think that's it for right now.
Sure. Marion, is it okay if we have the representatives from the tower company and the design people to speak now before we open it up to the public hearing? Okay, so we have,
Before we go to them, I'd like to ask a question.
sure, absolutely.
Randy, you said that Forest Service likes to have all other options exhausted. But that doesn't guarantee the Forest Service will give them a permit. That before all is exhausted, then they will maybe attempt to look at a permit. But there's no guarantee that the Forest Service will issue a permit. even if all other options are exhausted. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct. I mean, you can fill out an application for the Forest Service, and one of the questions in that application is, have you exhausted all other options?
Okay.
But I don't believe there's any guarantee that they would get a permit.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Very welcome.
Mr. Chair, can I ask one more before you get to there?
Yes,
Sorry
sure.
about that.
Okay.
So let's just put a scenario in here, Randy, that let's just say, for example, the Forest Service did let them put it 40 feet on the forest. How does that work through the CUP?
There is no longer a CUP, and no longer does Gila County Planning and Zoning have anything to say about it. It is on Forest Service federal land. We may permit it still to help the Forest Service to ensure it's constructed correctly, but no citizens through the Planning and Zoning would have any comments to be able to give to that.
Okay, I just wanted to hear you say that so everybody knew that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I've been there. I've seen the property. They moved it 100 feet. It'd be on the Forest Service, but it'd still be there. We have Michelle with us this morning from Pinnacle Consulting. And why don't you come on up, and then after you answer some questions, whatever, we can have Steve is also with us with Sunstate Tower.
Yes.
So Michelle, tell us what we're looking at.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks.
Good. So I won't go over everything
Please.
again. So I'll just quickly run through these slides so that you've already heard what we're doing here. I just want to point out, I understand on my slide I have L and it's M. They subdivided the parcel, and I'd already done the slide, so it was an issue at the Planning and Zoning, so I just wanted to point it out here. I understand that it's M. So we are proposing 110-foot monopole here with the 6-foot tall rustic metal fencing. We had gone back and forth with the Planning and Zoning as well as the property owner to come up with a design that not only, I mean, we're not going to hide it, right? You're not kidding anybody. Like it's going to be out there. So, you know, a 110-foot tree isn't going to look any better than 110-foot monopole. So, you know, I would say keep in mind that, you know, when telephone poles came up, people didn't want those either. But now when you drive down the street, you don't even, it's not like you're going, there's a telephone pole, there's a telephone pole, there's a telephone pole. So I do understand nobody wants it in their backyard. Unfortunately, the majority of people have a cell phone and they want their cell phones to work. And more importantly, they want their cell phones to work in a catastrophic event. So there's nothing worse than you being in an emergency situation and you can't get help. So I even noticed on my drive up here today that there was quite a few areas that, you know, I thought, wow, what would I do if I broke down here? I'm like, I would really have to figure something out myself, or I was walking in my cute shoes. So sorry.
Put up a towel.
Anyways, so we have worked with the jurisdiction to ensure that we follow all of the local requirements. You know, just keep in mind, telecom sites are regulated not only locally by the local jurisdiction, but we're also federally regulated. So I know some of the concerns were for the wildlife, you know, and environmentally. So we have to file, you know, a NEPA, a phase 1. So all of those things we have to do federally, and those things have to be passed federally as well. And that whole process takes about 6 months to get through all of those environmental concerns. So if, for instance, you know, this was something came up that there was an endangered species here, or if there was anything, you know, that if a tribe has something that potentially was buried here, all of those things would be taken into consideration. There would be monitoring, there would be things that would have to be done. So these are taken very seriously, but if somebody went and built their house there, none of those things would be taken into consideration. So just kind of food for thought. So we are structurally engineering the plans. It's a structural engineer that does it. It's a licensed engineer. We do adhere to all local and federal guidelines required by the Gila County, by FAA and FCC respectively. If you remember Hurricane Katrina, and if you watched any of the footage from Hurricane Katrina, obviously mass destruction and devastation to homes and buildings. I will tell you that the one thing that was left standing were these towers. So once power was restored, we could get up and operating to help the fire and police and rescuers get out there because our towers were still standing after Hurricane Katrina. So if this tower were to fall, to be quite blunt, you have bigger issues. I know people have a lot of concerns about towers falling, but these are built to withstand a lot more than any of the buildings around it. So we are asking for consideration of the guideline regarding the fall zone separation distance from the north and west property line. But we have engineered the tower so that it would fall within our compound. So it wouldn't even fall on the property owner. In conclusion, we have looked at several other locations in this area. We actually started up in Beaver Valley Estates. We came to find out that that development unfortunately has a lot of entitlement issues. And so through this process, they unfortunately found out that when it was originally platted in 1958, it was done incorrectly. So a lot of what the association thought that they owned as far as roads and access is incorrect, and they do not. So in order to fix all of that, they're gonna have to go back through the county, replat, rezone, and probably they're gonna need a lot of reparceling to have happened, and they just felt like at that time it was gonna be extremely extensive and costly, and they just didn't want to do it at that point. And as far as the U.S. Forest Service, so what the U.S. Forest Service asks us always, if it is not a designated telecommunications site, they ask us to exhaust all private parcels prior to coming to them and submitting an application. So if there are any private parcels that we can potentially go on in the area, then we have to exhaust all of those prior to us submitting an application with the Forest Service. And then we go through the application service with them, and it's not that they're necessarily going to say yes or no, or it's just their process is very lengthy. They have had a lot of cutbacks. So what used to be potentially a 3 to 5 year process, they've now told us looking at 5 to 7 years. So at that point, for us, that makes that not a feasible option to build something in 5 to 7 years, especially in this area. The need is great in this area. It's an area that has fires, flash floods. There's unfortunate events that happen all the time. So with that, I'll answer any questions. I'm not gonna go through the rest of this. Like I said, you guys have heard it before. And I will say that Verizon does take its compliance obligations very seriously. They have implemented a comprehensive RF safety compliance program as part of their continuing efforts to comply with FCC standards. So I know that there are concerns about RF emission. I'll let Steve get into that a little bit more with his presentation. But if Verizon doesn't follow the rules, it's not like they're getting slapped on the wrist. They're getting fined millions of dollars for this. So it's not only in their best interest, but they're a business, and nobody wants to get fined millions of dollars. So, and then I'm just going to conclude with one thing here, and that's just so that, I understand that maybe you guys don't see, you'll see buildings or you'll have other considerations, but you probably don't see wireless communication towers all the time. So federally, we are governed by the Telecommunications Act of 1996. So, and I know that you guys have probably discussed this with your attorney, but I just want to point out, because obviously people who are concerned about this may not realize that you guys also have to follow federal law, in not only your codes, but federal law as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there so that everybody does understand what you guys are up against as well. So with that, I'll let, if you have any questions,
Thank you, Michelle. Supervisor Humphrey?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Supervisor Klein?
Michelle, so you guys have to go through the NEPA process, whether it's on feds or private?
Yes.
So,
Every single site.
So I assume you've already done that then for this site?
We have started it, yes.
Okay, and how far out are you on it?
Probably a month.
So wouldn't that carry over to the federal side of it if to shorten that time frame? Because I know that's a big hang up on the forest.
Yeah, but they won't. So you have to, for every single site. So if I move this tower 50 feet, I have to run a new one.
Okay. And you heard the other concern about the access into the site.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I meant to address that. So I mean, once we get onto the property, we'll drive onto the property, they'll build it, and then they leave. There's a tech that visits the site every 60 days just to make sure that there's no trash, everything's running fine. But once it's built, there's not going to be like heavy machinery or anything like coming and going. In the past, we've done bonds, like if we could do a bond that if the road, it sustains any damage, or, we always state that whenever we build something, if something is damaged, we'll repair it to the way that it was when we found it. If you want to make that a stipulation of approval, that if something, occurs and the road is damaged, that we would repair it, I would be willing to agree to that. Absolutely.
So you mentioned the federal part of it and how we have to abide by it and all that. We do, we absolutely do.
Right.
And just so everybody knows that our hands aren't totally tied, but they're 99% tied when it comes to cell phone towers. You know that as well as I do.
Correct. But
And
general
so
public might not know that.
They
so
do not know that.
That's why I like to bring it up.
Exactly,
So
100%. And that's where I wanted everybody to understand here in Payson as well.
Right.
There are some reasons to deny a cell phone tower.
Right.
Very, very few reasons.
Right.
And I've been down this road before, and I'm not going to go down it again, other than real briefly, just to say that our hands aren't totally tied, but we are pretty much backed in a corner on cell phone towers to the point where I don't even want to see a cell phone tower in front of me. And I can relate to these people
Of course.
as well. I would not want a cell phone tower in my backyard. I would not want that. But I do like the coverage.
Right.
So that's a hard balance.
Sure.
And I know this area very well, and I know that there's issues there. I know there's a lot of weekend visitors underneath that rim right there and whatever. But there's people that end up within their backyard that is going to be giving up a lot because of that cell phone. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Michelle. Steve, is there anything you can add to the conversation? And I'd ask you to be brief before we turn it over to the public hearing part.
I can go over the RF characteristics, radio frequency, why the site's being built, what the coverage is about, and talk about RF safety or emissions, things of that nature. However, the board would wish me to talk.
So can you wrap that up in about 2 to 3 minutes?
I can go faster.
Okay.
I'll run through it.
All right.
Bring up that deck, please.
Yeah.
So my name's Steve Kennedy. I'm a radio frequency engineer. I've got 35 years of design experience within the wireless industry. I've designed thousands of sites across the United States and in other parts of the world. There should be an RF deck. Okay. So I geek out on this stuff, so I will try to go quickly and not make eyes glaze over. So Two reasons why wireless carriers build site: coverage, capacity. Coverage is the ability for the transceiver and the phone to talk to the transceiver at the site. That's why this site's being built. There is no coverage out there for Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile. Make sure I'm not doing something right. Yeah. Okay. That's the two reasons the sites are built. Can you just flip for me, please? So the objective is just to cover Beaver State's northeast of Payson. There's no coverage. It's pretty standard. There was a lot of lives lost from a flood that came up that the people didn't receive the text. There's issues with no coverage out there. If you go next slide. Once again, lack of service. Next slide. These are the existing Verizon sites within the area. Notice that the closest site is about 3.5 miles away down in Payson, and none of the sites that surround it provide any level of service. And this is not only Verizon, but AT&T and T-Mobile have the same issue. Next slide. There's a zoom of the site. Next slide. We'll just go through some crowdsourced data showing that there's no service. Mobiles are reporting it. That's where the pointer is. Next slide. We'll take it on through that. I'll go to the RF safety. Keep going. Next slide. All right, so this is the propagation modeling. So modeling is currently showing a lot of outdoor, some no service, and some in-vehicle service, but lacking. You go to the next slide that shows what the new site's going to be able to provide for the area. So a lot more indoor services and vehicle and outdoor services as well. Next two slides pass on. Okay, to tube side, RF safety, RF emissions, two types of emissions out there. There's ionizing and non-ionizing. Non-ionizing are things that do not affect the human DNA. The side effect's heat. Ever been on your phone for a long time? It gets warm. Why? That's because the amplifier is generating heat and generating the RF signal. Ionizing, that's things that can mess with us. That's where photons pass through our body and can affect DNA. Ionizing is gamma rays, X-rays. You ever go to the dentist? You got to get X-rays. They put the lead overcoat on you to jam that thing in your mouth so they can get a good X-ray. They're trying to limit the amount of emissions that's going into you, and that's something that can affect your DNA. So non-ionizing is wireless phones. The only side effect is heat. Next slide. Two types of services, general, public, and occupational. Occupational coverage levels are 10 times less than what the specific absorption rate is. That's like you're going up on a rooftop and there's an antennas on a rooftop. There's some special things because people are around the rooftop and they may not be trained, air conditioning guys or whatever. General public is, I'm walking down the street, I don't know why I walk by a site. That level is much lower. That's 50 times lower. So it's proximity based. Next slide. Power levels at the antenna, if I have my ear up next to the antenna on the tower, compared to what's on the ground outside the compound, it's 1/1000th the amount of power. Very, very small. Next slide. This is just crowdsourced data showing AT&T has the same poor service as T-Mobile. So I stand for questions.
Thank you.
Sir.
Supervisor Humphrey.
You said go fast. I went fast.
Yeah, thank you.
Fast as a phone signal, huh? Anyway, I have a hard time voting against cell towers. I live at Roosevelt Lake, which is a recreational area, and service has been horrible. I was chairman of the board, and when you're chairman of the board, you can make decisions for the board in emergency situations. While I was chairman, we happened to get about 600,000 acres of my district burnt, and then we had floods afterwards. And I was asked many times to make decisions that I didn't have service to make those decisions until the next day when I got in service. I've also seen accidents and things where you're sitting there with someone you love that's injured with no phone service. I understand, and after being through this, I would have one in my backyard if it helps situations like this. And so, and also too, you know, I mean, in my district, this board voted against a cell tower in my district, which frustrated me very much because of the situations that I was unable to receive calls. And so anyway, I'm for infrastructure and new development, and I know maybe they're hard to get used to if you've never seen one and all of a sudden you do, but pretty soon you don't pay any attention. How many stop signs are in your neighborhood? Well, you probably don't know because they've been there so long, maybe you don't even stop at them anymore. So I have a hard time voting against cell towers for the reasons of human safety and able to reach out for help when it's needed. And that's all, Mr.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein?
I had a question for you on these cell towers like this one that you're putting together. So it's got its area of coverage. So all that comes through your tower. Then does it go into a ground cable from there? What does it do?
So each tower is an independent site, radio transmitter. So if you go back a few slides to the RSRP slide, each site provides its own coverage, but all of the sites have to be connected back to the main control switching center, and there's two ways to do that. One is fiber, so is there fiber in the ground? The other way is point-to-point microwave, going from a 20 or 30 mile path to another site, connects in, and that one has connection back to the control center. So all these sites talk to each other and talk to control center, so as mobiles move through the network, they're able to hand off from site to site to site.
So what does this one do?
So what does this site do? I don't know if it's going to be a microwave or a fiber. I think there's fiber that's relatively close and would be trenched in, but I'm not totally sure. That's a different engineer that works on that. I'm the radio frequency guy.
Okay, so, sorry, Mr. Chair, but I asked some more questions.
Well, you're fine.
Sir, but, so when I look at electronics today, and I don't understand them, heck, I have a hard time turning on my cell phone but when I look at things that's going on today, satellite versus on the ground equipment, things like that, what would you say about the fact that maybe these cell phone towers might be on their way out, the availability of satellites and things like that that's coming on?
I would say there's two things that come into play with satellite. I worked in satellite and put up the first voice over IP satellite network in the United States. And the one thing is satellites, they're limited by spectrum as well as we are, and they're limited by distance. So you have two things that come into satellite. Now, whenever 35 years ago when all you could do was talk on a cell phone, we used very little bandwidth per conversation, especially in the Southeast, we talk slower. We used a whole lot less bandwidth. Now you've got streaming video, got all these big high demands. That requires spectral capacity. And in order to reach the population and provide the level of service that we have now, the satellite networks are not capable. And it's a physics thing because of the distance that the satellites are, whether they're low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, or geosynchronous, and then the amount of spectrum they have per satellite, there's just not enough capacity to be able to provide the level of services that we've come into. So satellites, I don't see terrestrial wireless ever going away. I see terrestrial wireless getting more and more prevalent just because there's more and more users.
Okay, one more question for you.
Sir.
You build this tower, Verizon is the sole company that's going to be on this tower, or are they looking to lease it out to other carriers?
No, sir. The tower designs, if you look at the zoning drawings, it's designed to hold 3 carriers. So AT&T and T-Mobile or Dish or whoever else wanted to come out here and attach to that, Sun State Tower would lease space on that to those antenna systems as well for those other carriers.
Yeah, that's the part that I've heard in our cell phone tower discussions, and I wasn't swift enough to begin with to bring that out. We're dealing with Verizon. We've dealt with Verizon, options before. But the fact of the matter is you can build these towers and lease that space once that tower is up.
Yes, so there's a lot of, I work all over the United States in zoning, and most zoning code written is that the tower has to be built to allow multiple tenants to locate on it. It's part of the upfront design and has to be that way. It's pretty standard operating procedure, especially for tower companies.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Steve.
Sir.
All right, I'm going to close this discussion, and we're going to open up the public hearing portion. As Randy pointed out, we had 10 emails in favor, support, 4 opposing, And I've received, I think, most of those. And I have also received request for participation from Michael Runs. Is that, am I saying that correctly? Are you in Payson? Is there a Michael Runs? Runzo. No, oh, okay. No, no, okay. Well, he's in favor of it.
Oh, I think he is here.
Yeah, he is.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah. Please, couple minutes. Okay, you're in favor.
Yes.
Okay.
The homeowner where the proposed location is at.
Thank you, sir. Mark Kirch did not request to speak. He's in favor. Also sent a letter. We also have Richard Lovedahl in favor. And he lives in Beaver Valley. Now, I know we have several that have opposed it, like Randy said, 4. I don't have any requests to speak from any of those. So I'll ask if anyone is in Globe today that wishes to speak on this item from the public. No, and
Excuse me, sir?
yeah, do you have anybody on the internet? Hang on, Lisa.
We have not a question, but a comment from William Campbell on the matter. He says he's a resident up in Beaver Valley and having cell service should be a priority up there.
Okay, so he's in favor. And Lisa, what do we have in Payson?
Richard Lovedahl would like to speak.
Okay. Oh, right. I see that now. Thank you. So, Richard, go ahead. I'll give you 2-3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Richard Lovedahl. I'm a resident of Beaver Valley. I was previously involved working with Pinnacle and Sun State to attempt to get the tower in Beaver Valley, which was basically taking too long. They had to move along for other reasons. I'm also a trained emergency communicator. I work with Gila County, and I've also organized an emergency radio communications that called Neighborhood Radio Watch in Beaver Valley. All these reasons are related to safety. And I think that is the primary reason that I and many, many of my neighbors and people in the area support cell tower. And to be honest, nobody wants to look at a cell tower, but everyone wants the ability, number one, to be able to call 911 when there's an emergency. And number two, the first responders have the ability to use a cell connection to be able to send critical health data on to assist in maintaining the health of the person that they are called to help. In our area, it's very different than I've lived in urban areas. It's very different in the town of Payson. We're not that far away from Payson, but we're very remote when it comes to communications. The number one thing that happens when the power goes out, power takes out our ability to use the internet to make calls or do anything else. That's our lifeline. Power takes that out. Well, internet can go out independently, but power takes everything. The other thing that's sad is that our telephone company has failed to maintain backup batteries even on landlines. Now, I've experienced this, and I put in a complaint that landlines go out when power fails. That's not supposed to happen. So for all of those reasons, it's important that we have cell service in the area to provide one more important way that we can either pass information or we can call for help, or a first responder can send information about a patient that's about to be taken into the emergency. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lovedahl. Lisa, anyone else?
Yeah. Let them know who you were, your address. I'm Mike Runzo. I live at 280 West Liberty Lane, the proposed cell tower type site. Somebody mentioned in there, hey, are you excited about having a cell tower in your backyard? Probably not. Pinnacle first approached me, I'm like, I really don't want a cell tower in my backyard. I own 12 acres of the Liberty
very few of our residents are gonna even be able to see it. I also, when they approached me with it, I had an incident on Houston Mesa Road, which is, directly, east of our property. Came on a very serious accident one night. Tried to call 911, could not call 911. I think one of the board supervisors said there's nothing more helpless than trying to dial 911. You can't get somebody and somebody is needed of it. That personally happened to me. One of my first responders friends said they had an active shooter up north. Nobody could get a hold of cell service either. I have gone between T-Mobile and Verizon for 4 years, thinking going back and forth would give me better coverage than my phone. My cell phone works terrible where I'm at, my home location. I'm getting older. If I have a heart attack or something, I want my phone to work. The other thing I want to talk about, they talked about the road maintenance issue in there. I have done the road maintenance on Liberty Lane for the 4 years that I've lived there. Our road maintenance agreement basically is they will give you granite, you take care of it. We have waste management, TPS, everybody else coming in there. I do not see that road maintenance agreement being issued or issued, you know. If it is, I'm the one that grades it with my tractor. And I did have some questions. I don't think, I heard the stats on how many people are affected. I own 3 4-acre parcels that actually directly join that where we're putting this piece. And like I say, I think there's one neighbor I've talked to that said they were in favor of, but I'm not sure if those other numbers are correct. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mr. Runzo.
The other one thing I wanted to add, in my past life, I used to work on these things, build these things for a government agency. When we first started working on these, the minutes were monitors, they had engineers, scientists, look at the data, our exposures, we know she has some permissible limits an employee could be exposed to. I got monitored for years. I am very comfortable with any of the safety issues people brought up just because I had the opportunity to actually look at that data. I'm sorry, any questions for me?
No questions. Thank you, Mr. Runzo. Lisa, anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing portion and call for a motion on item 3B.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to,
Sorry, 2B. Item 2B.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve resolution number 250601.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone. We're going to change a couple of items on the order of the agenda just for convenience because we have people that don't need to wait through the entire meeting. We're going to skip to item 3M, then N, and then O. 3M is information, discussion, action to approve a ground lease and use agreement between Gila County and the town of Winkleman for a period of 20 years for the total amount of $20 being due on or before the first day of the lease effective and $1 per year due on or before the first day of each successive lease period. Woody, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we've been working on this one for a while, and just a little bit of background history in the years past. There's properties acquired in Winkleman and Hayden down there back in the day, and I don't know why they were acquired to begin with, but this particular piece of property is situated right next to the town of Winkleman's Public Works. And so we've been working on that one, like I said, for a long time. Public Works down there in Winkleman could use it for space, storage, and whatever they need to do with it right there. So I've really been wanting to get this over to the town and put it back to use. I'd be willing to answer any questions.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, I think it's a good deal. We have a lot of property that we need to work with down in that area, so I'm glad to see that some of it's being able to get used.
Okay, very good. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, just so you guys know, I think there was a total like 7 or 8 different properties, this being one of them. So it's good to see it being put back together. Yeah, and the Winkleman mayor is here today, and we'll have a presentation once we vote on this and see where we're going. Do you want to say anything, Mayor Bracamani?
Well, I just appreciate all the help that Mr. Klein has given us towards possibly obtaining or using the property, because I think as it is, we're kind of landlocked, and with the equipment that we have, even though we're small, our fire department has been accumulating in the last 2 years 2 big fire trucks, and we need ample space to store them, not leave them outside. So this would be greatly appreciated by the town. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, well, thank you. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a ground lease and use agreement with the town of Winkleman as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, thank you. Item 3N, information, discussion, action to approve economic development agreement number 05072025 between Gila County and the Tunnel Rim Search and Rescue Squad, Incorporated, in the amount of $8,567.39 to assist with the purchase of 8 800 megahertz radios, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. This is an item of support for the Tunnel Rim Search and Rescue. And we have an orange shirt. Who do we have? Bill. Oh, hi, Bill. I'm going to give you 30 seconds.
We just spent a lot of time talking about the urgency of first responder communications, and this is going to be a huge assistance. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. So just keeping up with technology, it's expensive. And they don't have the money to buy this stuff, and they are vital for safety, public safety. So, you have any questions, Supervisor?
Yeah, well, these radios help you in communicating with the different departments, different law departments, and other fire departments.
It's basically the same channel set up that the Gila County Sheriff's Office has. So it's the Sheriff's Office, South and North County. I don't know if there's fire departments on there, but we have VHF radios that we use for communicating with Pine Strawberry, where we spend a lot of time, as one example.
No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too. I'll call for motion. Item 3N.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve economic development agreement number 05072025 with the Tunnel Rim Search and Rescue Squad, Incorporated, as presented, and which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
Mr. Chair, I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Item 3O, information, discussion, action to approve economic development agreement number 05062025 between Gila County and the Payson Art League, doing business as the Rim Country Artists, in the amount of $1,500 to assist with the expenses of the second annual Western Heritage and Film Festival, which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public. And this is another item that I'm helping support through sponsorship. The Payson Art League, who will have their second annual Western Heritage during the August rodeo. And we have with us Elizabeth Fowler. Good morning. Can you just give us a very brief description of what you guys do?
What we do is we gather people using art to have fun and uplift spirits. And what better way than to celebrate our common Western heritage and where we live? We have here in the room a representative from the Fire Service who will be part of our exhibit. We are thrilled to be honoring what's been here for the present day people, using art to do so, and lots of celebration, cowboy poetry, films, speakers, kids actually practicing filming, and a Sunday doings event, which is going to be just joyous with pony rides, which we're very grateful that the County Board of Supervisors is providing for us in the amount of $1,500. It's almost an exact match for what it is to bring Carter Farms up here for kids who have never even touched a horse, much less ridden on a pony. That and many other fantastic events. We're so appreciative of the support of the county in this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
Okay, with that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Economic Development Agreement number 05062025 with the Gila County and Payson Art League doing business as Rim Country Artists as presented, and which the board has determined to be for the benefit of the public.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Let's move on to item 3A. Information, discussion, action to adopt a proclamation number 2025-05 proclaiming the second week of June 2025 as National Recreation Highline Trail Week in Gila County. This was a request brought to me to make a proclamation about the Highline Trail. The Highline Trail goes through our county. It's a basically pretty significant trail, and they've been doing a lot of improvements on it. So proclamation is pretty straightforward. It goes, whereas the communities that make up Rim Country, Arizona have long valued the natural beauty, cultural heritage, and outdoor recreational opportunities that define our region, and through a collaborative effort involved public agencies, nonprofit organizations, dedicated volunteers, significant investments have been made to restore, protect, and enhance the iconic Highline National Recreation Trail for future generations. And the Highline Trail spans 68 miles across Rim Country, offering unparalleled east to west access to our forest landscapes and diverse ecosystems, providing opportunities for hiking, biking, exploration, and appreciation of Arizona's outdoor treasures. And National Trails Day, the first Saturday in June, and National Get Outdoors Day, the second Saturday in June, encourage Americans to explore public lands and connect with the natural world, aligning with the spirit of stewardship and celebration embodied by the Highline Trail. And Gila County encourages residents and visitors alike to get outdoors, experience Rim Country's beauty, and cultivate a lifelong commitment to the care and preservation of our public lands. And now, therefore, we, the members of the Gila County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim the second week of June 2025 as National Recreation Highline Trail Week in Gila County, and urge all citizens to celebrate, explore, and protect the remarkable natural resources that define our community. And we have a few representatives from the trail system. Does anyone want to make a comment or two?
Thank you, Supervisor Christensen. I'm Trevor Creighton. I'm president of the Rim Country Mountain Bike Association. I've been blessed to be able to work with the National Forest, Colorado National Forest, National Forest Foundation, and a lot of hosts of other partners on the Highline Trail. Over $1 billion raised to restore the Highline to its current beauty right now. Again, 68 miles along the base of the Mogollon Rim, and it's accessible blue trail. So I take my grandkids up there. We ride bikes. My wife is a new rider. We ride bikes up there, and we're starting to see a real economic benefit of that. A lot of times, I watch the trucks go through town, and usually they're heading either to Flagstaff or Cholo, someplace else to go ride, and now they're starting to stay here with their bikes. And a recent report from the National Trust of Public Lands stated that an average visit by a mountain biker to a community to ride their trails is $416 per day. I just spent a week in Moab, and I can say that, yeah, that's about right, especially when your bike breaks up there. So we're definitely going to see continued economic benefits from this amazing piece of trail. So, and we have some swag here for the three supervisors and hats. shirts as well. Thank you so much for your support.
Excuse me. Thank you, Trevor. And who do you have with you?
Thank you. Yeah, we have Angie Abel, Toronto National Forest Recreation Coordinator up here from North Mono. Yay. And then Margaret DeHess, she probably knows the Highline better than anyone. She's not a biker, she's a runner, and she runs the entire thing in one day quite often. So, yeah, so she's the Highline.
Come on. Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. I'll call for a motion, item 3A.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adopt proclamation number 202505.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much, people. Good to see you guys.
Thank you.
Item 3B, information, discussion, action to receive an update on the activities of the Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens doing business as Central Arizona Aging and approve intergovernmental agreement number 0420-2025 with CAA, whereby the county will disperse $165,000. And further, the board finds and determines this is for the public benefit to provide services to persons with disabilities and aged persons within Gila County. Good morning,
Good
Anna.
morning, yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see everyone. Thanks for having me again.
So you can have a photo up.
Oh, for the photo op. Okay, got it. Okay.
Good morning. I'm
morning.
happy to be before you again to present our annual report for funding for our organization. I want to point out that we did complete a rebranding and name change last year. So we are still Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens, but rebranded to Central Arizona Aging. So you're going to see some of that as we move forward. But we're still the same organization providing the same services in Gila County. Let's see here. So go through the presentation. And I'll try to be as brief as possible. Move through it quickly. Okay.
Usually IT has a separate PowerPoint version, not a PDF. Do you have that? Okay. Sorry. Do you just want to let Jonathan know when you should go to the next slide?
Yeah, sure. Sure. So we'll move on to the next slide. So just some details on the funding. We've had this partnership now for many years, I think probably about 20 years or so. We receive $165,000 annually. We are the fiscal agents as the Area Agency on Aging for these funds to be distributed to the senior centers for nutrition services. And the period that I'm going to be reporting for is for last fiscal year, ending June 30th, 24. The programs are home delivered meals, congregate meals, and also case management services for those individuals that are case managed in the communities. Next slide. This is a breakdown of distribution of funds, and I know that the county makes a decision on the distribution, but it is my understanding based on population numbers. So you see there the breakdown by senior center, Payson receiving the larger allocation of those funds, and then the senior centers that follow that receiving those portions that are made to them. Our agency also receives about $11,000 for case management services that are provided here in Gila County. And then we have a small amount for Mom's Meals, which is a service that we use for individuals that do not live close to a senior center. So they live in those outlying areas. We use a meal service which provides chilled meals directly to their home. And so we have some funding going to that, and of course some admin costs for a total of $165 distributed last year. In 2024, the program outcomes are that we served 1,300, almost 1,400 individuals in Gila County, serving over 728,000 meals provided in both congregate and home delivered meal service. And then case managed 550 individuals. Next slide. Some of the victories reported to us from the Payson Senior Center. This is actually not just the Payson Senior Center. It should be all senior centers. I'll just go over a few of these. It has saved our lives. Speaking about the meal itself, some days we don't have anything to eat. At least I get one meal a day. We know that many of our seniors are eating half of a meal and saving the rest for dinner. And some of that we're hearing back. Victories, our seniors are able, our center is able to serve a number of seniors experiencing chronic health conditions and mobility issues, and those struggling with food insecurity. That's out of Hayden, and food insecurity and malnutrition. Out of Pine, we've seen an increase in participation as more people hear about how good our meals are. And our program has experienced significant growth in response to growing demand. Another victory out of Globe, our clients continuously express their appreciation not only for the quality of meals, but for the consistency of the service and the well checks. And then in Miami, daily meal delivery has allowed our center staff to build strong bonds with our homebound clients, as many are frail, lonely, and isolated. And then, with every service, there are some challenges, and we experience this year to year. Not a lot of changes, but for this past year, the impact of increasing staff wages, the cost of increasing cost of food. I know we're all feeling that, so our senior centers as well. Fuel costs, delivery vehicles needing repair, and then recruitment of consistent volunteers. Also, the lack of increased funding on the federal and state level. More so on the federal level, it's been stagnant, and then we are going into this year, unfortunately, possibly looking at some additional cuts to OAA funds. The impact of the Gila County funding and your support means that it significantly improves the diet and quality and nutrient intakes for the seniors in your communities, reduce food insecurity and malnutrition among seniors, provides daily well checks for the most vulnerable in our community, increasing their health and safety. Next slide. And also provides access to community resources. When seniors go to our senior centers, they're able to socialize and increase their ability to access other resources aside from just the congregate meal, transportation services as well. And also the program aligns with federal and state policies which aim to rebalance long-term care away from nursing homes and supports individuals staying in their home where we know they age better and it's less expensive. So with that, I just want to thank you for your continued support consistently with our organization and mostly with our senior centers. A heartfelt gratitude to you on behalf of our board and our staff and our senior centers participants and clients. In your investment helps combat hunger, malnutrition, and empowers our seniors to age with dignity, health, and independence in Gila County. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Anna.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, other funding agencies to you, does the federal, state, and how are their fundings holding up for you?
So for the current fiscal year, we're in 2025 now, funding has been consistent. We haven't seen any increases. But as we approach 2026, we just updated, the state just updated the funding formula for the state, and so that impacts our nutrition services. And so we are seeing a slight decrease on federal funding for leading into 2026. We still don't know the full impact, however, because if you've been following what's going on with the federal government and the budget process, we have not received clear information. It's been a very confusing few months in terms of our funds being frozen, and then there was some conversation about elimination of some services. And so now, as of Friday, we're hearing that there is possibly consistent funding, but we also have to brace ourselves from some possible anywhere from a 10 to 15% cut across all programs. So I know that sounds very confusing, but that we're not getting clear information from the federal government. And the state dollars are a match for the federal funds, And as long as the federal funds are being received, we feel confident that the state funding will be there.
Yeah, the reason for that question was, it seems like it's been $165,000 for a long time.
Yeah.
And every day I sit up here, somebody's asking for another 10, 20%. I think today we'll go over a deal that they're asking for 100%. And so it's like, wow, you know, you provide such a important service to our community, for the elders, for the communication and being there and providing meals. Because even people with families have loved ones signed up for this, and it's very important that they get that interaction and that funding. And so I have no other questions other than, you know, I would like to maybe look at it and see if you're in need, if there's not room for a little increase, because food prices aren't going down, gas prices aren't going down, and like I say, to me, you provide a very important service to our seniors. So
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey. Appreciate that.
thank you for
Thank
what
you.
you do.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anna, good to see you as always.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do too. Your heart is definitely in the right place. And so they are faced with some cuts. And that's one thing we're looking at. I had a brief conversation with Anna this morning. Hayden is looking at some significant cuts, with the possibility of losing that senior center. And so what I would like to suggest is that, James, if you would, take this and look into it and see. We've done quite a bit since we've taken office for the seniors. We've upped our part of the contribution every so often. We went to that 165,000 mark just in the last couple of years. And so it's never enough. I understand that. And I understand that we can't cover everything. I do know that as well. But this is more than just food too. This is a lot of contact. You know, that these residents rely on seeing somebody once every so often, whereas they have nobody to contact or communicate with. And so I really think from my standpoint, I would like to see us try and do what we can, especially when we have a senior center like Hayden that's looking at possibly closing. Hayden covers a lot of country in that corner that isn't readily available to anything else. It's off there by themselves. They're really good. They've worked hard over all these years. Annie worked really, really hard at that senior center. And James, I'd like to see us try and check into this and dig a little deeper and see what we can do with Hayden to not close that center. And it wouldn't only be Hayden, in my opinion. Any of them that's looking at closing, we need to help. But that's the one that's coming up, that has came up this morning. So
Go ahead. If you have some comments, sure, go.
Okay. Comments from two of our supervisors. I would assume, Mr. Chairman, that you have the same thoughts, that I might recommend. Now, this is money for our fiscal year 25-26 budget.
Today's check is for 25.
For fiscal year 24-25.
Yes. Any future research, I presume, would be for 26.
Because their cuts, Annie, they're looking at for next year, right? They'd have to shut down next year or sooner than that.
Yes, it would be July 1st of 25.
This coming July.
This coming fiscal year. And I will say, I should probably give you some information around that, is that the reason that they're getting the cut is that we had to implement a new funding formula. The state, as I mentioned earlier, creates a funding formula for the state, and we do the same for our funds. And so what has occurred is that there have been some shifts in population in our region. Pinal is growing by leaps and bounds. Gila County, small growth. And so there's been some shifts. And so there is one senior center in this area that is getting an increase, while the smaller senior centers, because we don't see a lot of population growth, are getting, unfortunately, reductions in funding. So that's the issue there in Hayden. We have been in talks with the mayor and with their staff about ensuring that the seniors continue to get meals, and so we're looking at a couple of options. That senior center is critical, as you state, within that area because it provides many resources. And so what we're thinking about doing is, as long as they're open to this option, is that we would continue to serve the home delivered meal clients through Mom's Meals, because that is an option, and then provide congregate meals out of our kitchen in Casa Grande. We have a central kitchen in Casa Grande. We'd be bringing those up weekly and providing 5 meal packs to all of the congregate meal participants. The last thing we want is for our seniors to go without food. And so that is, the least we can do. But in terms of the senior center and programming and staff, they just don't have the funding to be able to staff the center, and so that's what we're still working towards.
Thank you, Annie, and too, that center is pretty important for folks to go. That's a place where they can socialize, they can get out of their house, have the different little events or functions going on there. It's been a really good thing in that corner.
So, Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, if I could ask one question, and I hope I'm not stepping on any toes, but does Pinal County, are they participating in that southern corner of the Gila Pinal area?
They do. We apply for funding to them directly, and they do provide some funding for that.
Okay.
So it's a combination of funds, both Gila and Pinal, and then our federal funding.
I'm just wondering if I need to go to my counterpart in Pinal County and say, hey.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind you asking them for more money if that will definitely help. But yeah, they do participate, not to the degree that Gila County, but we're working on that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I think I will. The county manager for Pinal, Mr. Liu, is a good friend of mine, so I don't mind going and talking to him.
That would be great. We would
But,
love that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if I might recommend, since these monies are being asked to approve today is for the current fiscal year, which ends in 27 days, that we go ahead with the $165,000 that we have appropriated. It's included in the budget, but that perhaps if I can persuade our finance department to look at maybe about $175,000, something like that, we can certainly meet with you, Anna, and see if that helps and what exactly that can potentially do. Bring that forward as part of our budget for fiscal year 25-26 that starts again in 28 days. So if there are any thoughts of doing anything different than that, I would appreciate your input.
Thank you. And so, yeah, I agree that we need to keep up with costs and things like that. And after all, Merit, it's just numbers.
I've got an eraser. We'll make it happen.
So, what is this general fund money?
This is general fund money, yes.
Okay, all right. So, thank you so much. I think society is judged on how well we take care of those who can't help themselves. And it's very important that we have these for our elderly and all those that need it.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve intergovernmental agreement number 04202025 with the Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens doing business as Central Arizona Aging as presented, and further the board finds and determines that this is for the benefit to provide services to persons with disabilities and aged persons within Gila County.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you all.
Anna. Do you mind a picture real quick?
Let's do it.
We do that?
Yeah.
Do we need to move the?
Usually we just put them in the front here.
They're not understand anymore. One more.
Okay, one more.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Charlotte, we're comfortable going forward. Okay. Item 3C, information discussion action to approve or deny a petition for redemption of exemption waiver from Ronnie J. McLearan, petitioning to have his property tax exemption that is deemed waived by Arizona Revised Statutes redeemed for tax year 2025. Shara, we have 4 of these. Good to see you. They're all the same language, so we're going to try and run through them as quick as we can. And I tried to create a shortcut this morning, and we can't do that. We're just going to have to go through them one at a time. And
Okay,
so could you explain what we're doing and why this person didn't get their information in a timely fashion?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ronnie J. McLaren has petitioned the board to redeem his property tax exemption for 2025 as a veteran with a 100% disability. Under Arizona Revised Statute 42-11153A, a qualifying taxpayer otherwise entitled to a property tax exemption waives the exemption if the taxpayer fails to file a required affidavit or furnish other required evidence between the first Monday in January and March 1st of the year. This is the case with Mr. McLaren, who received his disability approval letter from Veterans Affairs on April 16th, which is after the March 1st application window closure. However, excuse me, under Arizona Revised Statute 42-11153, Section B, the qualifying taxpayer may petition the Board of Supervisors to redeem the waiver of the tax exemption. This petition must be presented before the board in a regular meeting, which is why I'm here today on Mr. McLaren's behalf. Mr. McLaren qualifies for the individual tax exemption and has been approved for the exemption by the assessor's office. He has now petitioned the board for approval for his exemption to take effect for 2025. An approval of Mr. McLaren's petition will allow for his approved exemption to take effect now in this upcoming tax season. A denial would push his exemption to 2026 in the next tax season. The assessor's office does not advocate for or against the board's approval, though we will state that Mr. McLaren has proven qualified to receive the exemption and certainly deserves it. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Shara. Supervisor Humphrey.
Question on this, if this is voted on and they don't pay the taxes, right?
He'll pay taxes, it is a discounted amount.
Okay, it's a discounted amount, not just no tax.
It doesn't, we haven't got that passed yet in law for it to be no tax.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. No further questions.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Klein.
I'm good. I wish it was no tax,
know,
but
me too.
but maybe it'll come in time.
Maybe, yep.
Okay, so I have no questions. So with that, I'll call for motion. Item 3C.
Mr. Chair, I make the motion to approve a petition for redemption of exemption waiver from Ronnie J. McLaren, petitioning to have his property tax exemption that is deemed waived by ARS 42-11153A redeemed for tax year 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Shara. We have item 3D, information discussion action to approve or deny a petition for redemption of exemption waiver from Michael R. Dozier, petitioning to have his property tax exemption that is deemed waived by ARS redeemed for tax year 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Would you care for me to restate the statutes or just give you the particulars of this individual?
I think They're all identical as far as the purpose of them.
Yes.
We would just need specifics on Mr. Michael Dozier.
Will do. Mr. Dozier was undergoing hip surgery and radiation treatment in Tempe, Arizona during the application timeframe, which is why he did not get there during that timeframe. He does qualify. Again, any of these petitions that we bring before the board will all be qualified for the exemption, and then it's just your decision whether they get it now or later. Okay, so he does qualify, and again, we don't advocate for or against, but we'll state that Mr. Dozier has proven qualified to receive the exemption and would have applied if it not for his medical issues.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
Okay, you say reduced rate of taxes. How much reduced? Is that, I mean, is it 10%?
Yes.
Is it 50%? Is it?
The exemption is a dollar amount, which changes each year according to whoever the powers that be decide for the increase. Right now, it's $4,748. That amount is deducted from their limited assessed property value. So it brings that number down. Then the tax rate is calculated from the lower number to get them what they pay in taxes.
Okay. I guess, yeah, then could it be close to zero taxes?
It could be, yes.
Okay, because see, what I'm getting at is I fight blight. And a tax property that has no taxes assessed to it
Yes.
can never go up for a tax lien sale for not paying taxes.
Mhm.
And so with me trying to clean up properties, and this property has no taxes, earlier you said there's no zero. Well, I think there is some once that's all calculated, because I'm fighting properties that will never go up for a tax lien sale because there's no taxes owed. And so therefore I have no way to clean up some of the blighted properties. And that's I guess something that we're gonna have to work out somehow on calculations. So there's at least 10 cents owed, because then if it's not paid, then it can go up for a tax lien sale because taxes is owed. So as we go forward with this and the formula gets presented after the deduction for the final owed, I would like to know if there are zeros, because the end result after that person passes on or something creates difficulties in the future.
I hear you.
So after calculations, if there's zeros out, I would like to be able to work on no zeros, even if it's 10 cents, just no zeros.
Okay, yes, we can
Okay,
do that.
yeah.
And one side note to that is when an individual, if the exemption amount that they have, if their value is of such that only a portion of this wipes out their taxes and it goes to zero, and they still have like a credit balance from this exemption, if that makes sense, it goes towards their personal property taxes. So their vehicle, it can go towards the taxes that they would have to owe on their vehicle.
Okay. Yeah, I would just, getting to the reason or to the point that I have dealt with issues from past deals that I have no way to deal with them now.
Yes. Well, we
So
certainly
I would like to
work
maybe
with you.
back up to prevent the future.
Understood. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
Sure, are these all veterans?
No,
Okay, so Mr. Dozier is not a veteran.
no, he's just 100% permanent total disabled.
Okay. Okay, so I have a little bit different outlook on a lot of this than Tim is looking at it. I understand what he's saying, but still, you know, with 100% disability or veterans, however that shakes out, I think it needs to have some weight to it. I also know that nothing can happen unless the state changes it through ARS codes. And so that's nothing we can do in-house here. That has to be petitioned and lobbied through the state. But anyway, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Chair, just to clarify, this exemption is given to a person.
Yes,
It's not a permanent change to the property.
correct.
So when that person leaves, sells, dies, or anything, the property reverts back to normalcy.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, is there anything else?
Sure.
Good. How do you keep record on the person not owning the property anymore?
Through the deeds, the titles that come into our office, we would know when the property's been transferred out of their name and such, the exemption would automatically fall off.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna go further because, yeah, then if one of the family people, well, I said I'm not going there, so, okay, I'm done.
Okay, Manager Menlove.
Assessor Kissy, I had a question in your description of what it does. So if a net assessed value is $100,000, you described that there's, in this case, particular case, a 4,000 and something. So essentially the net assessed value is reduced from 100,000 to 95,000.
Correct.
Something. So it's not a $4,000 credit on their taxes. It's
No.
a reduction in net assessed value by the $4,000 or whatever
Correct.
it is. 4,000 is the maximum by statute right now.
Correct. Well, it is that dollar amount, the exemption amount is the same number. Everybody gets that number.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, this is kind of new to all of us, I think.
Yeah,
We've never done
absolutely.
this.
It's
So,
something that the assessor's office should have been doing all along.
Yes, so I appreciate everything that you're doing. So let's, I had one other question, which was then, do they have to apply for this every year?
Once they get the exemption, it is perpetual, ongoing.
Perpetual
Forever.
until the situation changes?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. With that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a petition for redemption of exemption waiver for Michael R. Dozer petitioning to have his property tax exemption that is deemed waived by ARS 421153A redeemed for tax year 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Item 3E is information, discussion, action to approve or deny a petition for redemption of exemption waiver from Lisa M. Dibble, petitioning to have her property tax exemption that is deemed waived by the ARS, redeemed for state year or tax year 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Lisa Dibble is the partner of Mr. Dozier. Her reason for not applying during the time frame is because she was with him in Tempe. She is also 100% permanent and total disabled, but because of Mr. Dozier's condition and her being with him, she was not able to apply. She's qualified. We have accepted her. Everything passes muster, and she will go into being exempted for next year if not approved for this year.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
Opportunity. If the property never changes hands, then you don't know. I mean, if the person passes away and a family member, and it never goes to probate, family member doesn't sell it, then you don't know that that person has deceased.
If a person deceases and they do not file a death certificate or there's not some other way that we are informed, you are correct. It may take a while for us to know.
Okay, and I apologize for beating this up, but I'm dealing with the other end of some of these, and I can show you pictures that would make you really wish that you didn't live next to this person. And so that's why I'm kind of milking this to get reasons why I'm dealing with some of these things now, and hopefully can build a prevention for it. So thank you very
You're
much for answering the questions. That's all, Mr.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve a petition for redemption of exemption waiver from Lisa M. Dibble petitioning to have her property tax exemption that is deemed waived by ARS 421153 redeemed for tax year 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And to item 3F, information, discussion, action to approve or deny petition for redemption of exemption waiver from Rimview Community Church. Petitioning to have their property tax exemption that is deemed waived by Arizona Revised Statute redeemed for tax year 2025. Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This one's a little different because it is a nonprofit organization and not an individual, but they have the same filing timelines as an individual does. They have been a non-exempt church for a very long time. Am I saying that right? Non-exempt? Exempt?
Exempt.
Anyway, you understand. For a very long time with their property, they recently acquired a parking lot next to where the church is for additional parking. They did not make the filing deadline because they did not close on that parking lot until April 11th. So that is why we're here today for them.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions.
Supervisor Klein.
So this is just a different parcel when they acquired it than what they had or have previously, huh?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Is this in Star Valley?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, with that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a petition for redemption of exemption waiver for Rimview Community Church, petitioning to have their property tax exemption that is deemed waived by ARS 42-11153A redeemed as tax year 2025.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to 3G, information, discussion, action to renew an inspection services agreement between Gila County and the Arizona Department of Housing, Office of Manufactured Housing, for the purpose of enforcing the installation standards of manufactured housing for manufactured homes, mobile homes, factory-built buildings for the period of June 3rd, 2025 to June 2nd, 2028. Randy.
Morning again. So basically, this is a renewal. We've had this contract for many years before. Basically, we have an IGA with the state that allows Gila County to do the inspections of setting of the manufactured homes on parcels in our county. I talked with a couple of the installers. It takes up to 6 weeks to get the state to come out to do one inspection. We can do it the next day. So everyone really kind of wanted us to renew us, including the state. So again, this is just a renewal of the contract to allow us to do the inspections. We have to follow their price lines, their requirements, and fill out forms and all that good stuff. But it helps the customers and clients and applicants of Gila County.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
You weren't just advertising next day service, were you?
No, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. No further questions.
Okay, Supervisor Klein.
But you did make the commitment. Hey, a lot of people heard you.
Yes, sir. We do, if they call in today, we will be out there tomorrow, one way or another. Not over the weekends, obviously, but during the week, we will do next day inspections if you get it called in before we leave.
That's cool. Randy, do we get enough off of it to help pay for our inspectors?
It does. And probably we've done it in the past, because we didn't always follow their requirements. They have different issues. So in other words, you want an extension, it's $100. We're free for the first one. They're $100. So we weren't doing that. We weren't following the requirements, but when I went through this, it says we have to. So yes, I think we do recover our cost. We're not going to make any big dollars off it, but we will recover our cost on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Randy, for all you guys do. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to renew an inspection services agreement between Gila County and the Arizona Department of Housing, Office of Manufactured Housing as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Randy. 3H is information, discussion, action to authorize the advertisement of invitation for bids number 05102025, annual contract for advertising publications and printing to solicit bids from qualified newspapers for an annual contract for all advertising, publications, and printing required to be done or made by all departments and elected offices of Gila County government for the period of July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2026. Marin.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Supervisor Humphrey, Supervisor Klein. Arizona Revised Statute 11255 requires that the Board of Supervisors award an annual contract for advertising, publication, and printing in the newspaper of record. The statute further stipulates what constitutes a newspaper of record, where it has to be located, how often it has to publish, its actual reach, and things of that nature, so that we can determine who our qualified bidders are. And we are supposed to go out for this annually, so we are looking for your permission to advertise this invitation for bids.
Thank you, Baron. Supervisor Humphrey.
Yeah, on this advertisement for bid, we do have things that need to go out to a newspaper, but they need to be published in the county seat. Is that not correct?
There are some things that fall outside of this particular statutory requirement.
Okay, so if, say, a paper out of the county seat wins the bid, then we still have to pay a county seat paper, if they didn't receive the bid, to do certain advertisements for us.
Yes.
Okay, I think that should be somehow calculated in a bid, because it ends up sometimes costing us more if the county, if a paper within the county seat does not get awarded the bid, then they still get to do certain advertisements no matter who gets the bid. So I understand that it goes out for bid, but that's never been mentioned to, or I seem to have passed that in the past, and then it comes back to find out that certain things have to be paid to the people that were awarded the bid and people that were not awarded the bid because of rules that had to be in the county seat. So I would just somehow like to be able to know when it goes out for bid that everybody knows that.
We can work with the county attorney's office to determine whether we can include that in this, because this is specific to our compliance with 11255. It may have to be a separate discussion, and I don't know that we can take that into consideration when evaluating these bids. I don't know that our existing procurement policy allows us to calculate that in a way that would be useful, especially when we have things like the tax lien sale that's like $9,700 to print the list, right? But you don't know how long that's, how much that's going to be, and you know how many square inches or
right.
however they
right.
measure.
I understand, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It's just another thing that's come back to bite us in the future, because we have obligations to the state which create problems for us in the future, and I wasn't aware of it until it come back and realized that. And then it just created more money for the bidder and the non-winner of the bid because of the content.
Sure.
And so I'm not gonna keep fighting that, but anyway.
I'm sorry, Jessica
Yeah,
has
Jessica, go
something.
ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Oh, that's fine.
We got the attorney.
Yes. Member supervisors. This is something that we can certainly look into. I think Marion is correct. I think with the procurement rules, it's not something we can account for. However, I think this situation is very unique to Gila County, in that we only have we only have one newspaper in the county chair. So again, I think it's very unique to Gila County, and it might be a legislative issue, not something that we can address here with the invitation for bids and approving them, but we will certainly look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
Yeah. I do know that there's rumblings at the legislature to try and ease up on some of the printing demands and go digital. So I don't think that's been accomplished yet. Thank you, Marin. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the advertisement for invitation for bids number 05102025 as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Marin.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to I. 3I, information discussion action to approve the final renewal of purchase agreement transaction number 3558441 for 120 M2 all-wheel drive motor grader, and to authorize the 8th annual and final payment in the amount of $96,195.84. Mr. White.
Chairman, Board of Supervisors, thank you. I think you pretty much said my whole presentation right there just in the motion, but this is for a 2018 all-wheel drive motor grader that we've leased. This is our final payment of a little over $96,000, so it'd bring the total price that we'd be paying for this is just a little over $266,000. So this is our last and final payment, and then we're out of the lease and we own it outright. So,
okay.
With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions.
Supervisor Klein.
Does that work out comparable to just buying one outright, Troy, or did we end up paying a little bit more?
You end up paying a little more because you're leasing, so you're paying interest on it.
Yeah.
So it's about $56,000 more over the 8 years for interest.
So we used their money for $50-some-odd thousand, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the final renewal of purchase agreement transaction number 3558441 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Item 3J, information discussion action to approve amendment number 1 to contract number 071924, the Campaign Creek post-fire project demolition of 10 homes with Bryant Holt Contracting Company Incorporated to increase the contract total by $16,724.74 for a new not to exceed contract amount of $106,403.74. Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors. So this is the one and only amendment to the contract we have for Bryant Holt Contracting for the demolition of the 10 homes. What happened was early on in the process before we went out for bid, former Director Vela and I agreed that if we convinced the contractors to use our Buckhead Mesa landfill, we would pay the tipping fees instead of filling up our Russell Gulch landfill, which was already, as you know, filling up. So the contractor had the option to do that and then turn in their slips, and then we would reimburse them. What we didn't realize is that would actually put them over the original contract amount. So this is reimbursing Bryant Holt Contracting for the amount that they paid in the tipping fees.
Okay, Supervisor Humphrey.
No questions.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good with that. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. With that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 1 to contract number 071924 as presented.
And I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 3K, information discussion action to approve modification 001. Yes, Jessica? No. Just,
Yes, Chairman, members, supervisors, I'm here.
okay, all right, thank you. Item 3K, information discussion action to approve modification 001 to road project agreement number 23-RO-1103-1200-276 between the United States Department of Agriculture, Forest Service, Tonto National Forest, and Gila County to revise the scope of work, update administrative contacts, extend the performance period from September 30th, 2025 to September 29th, 2026, and add a paid sick leave requirement clause. Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, Chairman, and Board. So this is the third of the three intergovernmental agreement modifications that we have with the Tonto National Forest. This one is for the original $500,000 that they gave us to work on, or excuse me, that they allocated to us to work on Control Road as a payment reimbursement program. This contract got put on hold with the Forest Service when everything got shut down for a brief stint, and now that their contract is open again, they'd like us to extend this contract for a year to make sure that we get the work done. This will be repairing 3 sections of Control Road per Forest Service request.
Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Supervisor Klein.
I'm good, thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. With that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve modification number 001 to road project agreement number 23-R011031200-276 with the United States Department of Agriculture, Forest Service, Tonto National Forest as presented.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
A motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Item 3L, information, discussion, action to approve intergovernmental agreement number 311252 with the town of Winkleman for Justice Court case management of the town's criminal misdemeanor and criminal traffic case filings and terminations for the period of January 1, 2025 to December 31, 2028. Jessica.
Yes, Chairman, Supervisors. The IGAs for Gila County Justice Court have already came before you for all of the municipalities except for the town of Winkleman. I'm not sure why this one was missed. It does look like it did go before the town of Winkleman back in March. So this is now just coming before you again because it was missed. This is for the ability for the Justice Court to handle the criminal misdemeanors and the criminal traffic case filings pursuant to ARS 11-952J. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jessica. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Great. Supervisor Klein.
I'm good.
I'm good as well. With that, I'll call for motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve intergovernmental agreement number 311252 with the town of Winkleman as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Our next item is item 3P. I'm going to ask for a motion to recess as the Gila County Board of Supervisors and convene as the Gila County Library District Board of Directors.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Information, discussion, action to approve the agreement for E-rate services between Gila County Library District and Yavapai County through the Yavapai County School Superintendent for a term of 3 years effective July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2028 at a rate of $4,000 per year. Adopt the related resolution and authorize the Gila County Librarian to sign the letter of agency. Good morning, Elaine.
I had to look myself. Good morning, Chairman, Supervisors. I'm here to present our 3-year renewal with Yavapai County and Yavapai County Education Service Agency for E-rate consulting services. The Library District continues to apply for E-rate funding for connectivity for all 8 of our libraries. We also apply separately for Category 2 funding for equipment and cabling for those libraries. This agency, along with Frank Vanderhorst, has been invaluable not only for their help in applying for this funding, but a great resource to answer questions for those of us who aren't quite as expert and have a great knowledge base. They also keep track of projects and ensure that all federal deadlines and reporting requirements are met. The Library District asks that you approve the agreement for the next 3 fiscal years at the rate of $4,000 per year. adopt the attached resolution, and authorize the Gila County Librarian to sign the letter of agency. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Humphrey.
I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah, thank you, Elaine. I have no questions. With that, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement for E-rate services between Gila County Library District and Yavapai County through the Yavapai County School Superintendent, adopt the related resolution, and authorize the Gila County Librarian to sign the letter of agency as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn as the Gila County Library District Board of Directors and reconvene as the Gila County Board of Supervisors.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. We have consent agenda items 4A through M. Supervisor Humphrey.
I'm good.
Supervisor Klein.
I'm good as well.
Anticipating my question, are we? Very good. Then I will call for a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through M.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to approve. Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Call to the public here in Globe. No. How about the internet? How many we have today?
For viewers, 16 concurrent viewers.
Okay. Lisa, you look pretty lonely over there.
We're all good here.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to item 6, our reports. We'll start with the county manager.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, yesterday had a meeting with the Gila County Community College District President and acting president in follow-up to our work session that we had a couple months ago. This was a discussion regarding making sure all the paperwork and everything we have, that our partnerships with them goes forward and that we have all the T's crossed now. So it went very well, but I did want to take a moment to, again, congratulate the Gila County Community College District, and with your support as Board of Supervisors in our discussion yesterday, they expressed appreciation to you several times that it would not have been possible for them to get to this point without your help and your level of commitment. Thank you from them and from Gila County. They will be the Gila County Community College District in 28 days. And that is exciting. So, and I believe that that's what the intent and purpose and your support has been all along. So congratulations to them. I wanted to give a moment, if I might, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, to Michael. There's a couple of projects that we've got going on, and there's going to be some impact to the public. So asking Michael to give us an update, one on the Payson Courthouse and that transition back to the remodeled courthouse building there in Payson. And then also there's been some work on the Michelson building here that if he could just take a minute each and update us on those, I would appreciate that, Mr.
Sure. Hello, Michael.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. So the two projects are the Payson Courthouse remodel and the Michelson building. With the Payson Courthouse remodel, if you remember, it's $1.8 million of a remodel, and that was paid from the ARPA funding. So we are moving extremely fast with this project, and I'm excited that it's on track, it's on schedule. We have put a new roof on there. The entire lobby storefront's 100% completed. Our fire suppression system, which we had to add to this entire first and second floor, that has been installed, and they are testing that system now. The completion date is June 30th is the date we're heading for. July 18th, we have scheduled with a contractor to move the court system out of the Longhorn building, which is owned by the Payson Senior Center, and back into the courthouse. So by July 18th, hopefully at the end of that weekend, everyone will be relocated back into the courthouse and then open on that following Monday. So I'm extremely excited about this project moving forward, and we are a little bit ahead of schedule, but I don't want to jinx it. So do you have any questions about that?
Supervisor Humphrey?
No, not right now, thanks.
Supervisor Klein?
I'm good. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, I appreciate that it's moving right along on schedule, maybe ahead.
Correct.
That's good, because the senior center does not want us in their building past the date we told them we were gonna be out.
Correct. The senior center is doing a complete remodel of that building we're occupying right now, starting at the very beginning of August. So we need to be out of there by the end of July. So it's been
And we almost didn't get that building because of that.
correct.
They were worried that we would not be able to do it in the time frame.
Correct.
And so,
Yeah, they've been extremely helpful and they've just been great to work with. So.
okay, thank you.
And then the second project that Mr. Menlove mentioned was the Michelson Building downtown Globe. That project is planned to go through a complete remodel on the inside. We have completed on the county side, this is a joint project. This project involves the City of Globe. They've received $750,000 earmark money, and they're responsible for hiring an architect and doing the remodel on the inside of the building. Our facilities team is working with them to actually manage the project. So it's this joint project which is working very well. We have completed our entire demo of the first and second floor of this building. We are one week ahead of schedule, and some of the changes, it's an incredible change. We knocked down all the non-load bearing walls, took off all the drywall down to the brick. It looks much different than it did. But that process is complete. Tomorrow, they're doing a kickoff meeting with GH2 in the City of Globe and our facilities team, which is the architect that they have hired to go ahead and start the design process for the remodel of this building. So it is moving very quickly as well, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about that.
Okay, Supervisor Humphrey?
I have no questions.
Chairman,
Just go ahead, Jessica, excuse me.
Yes,
Go
Chairman,
ahead,
Supervisor.
Mr.
I'm sorry, the statute that allows for the current events update is very, very narrow, and it does not allow for any sort of discussion on the matter.
Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. I didn't really have any questions anyway.
Okay, all right, then we will accept your presentation.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Chairman, members of the board.
Anything else, Manager Menlove? Okay, Supervisor Humphrey?
Yeah, I met with Public Works Director Troy and the team on a monthly deal so we can go over projects that we're working with in District 2 and projects we want to work on in District 2 and kind of things of that nature. So that was a good meeting. I'll hold a Tonto Basin community meeting tonight at 5 o'clock. No agenda, just public come and let us know. And we inform with what we can. And then tomorrow at lunch, I will speak at the Globe Rotary. So that's about all I've got going right now.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Klein?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a meeting coming up June 13th at 10 o'clock a.m., 201 North Mud Springs Road. This is with the ad hoc committee that Representative Marshall has asked me to be on. It's all designed around the public to address issues with fire preparedness, cleanups, insurance, and all of that. And so we will be there to hopefully be able to address anybody's concerns or questions. That summer work is kicked off, and Kathy Melvin, I asked her to give us a little bit of a rundown on the interviews. They're a good batch of kids, and there's always some cool little stories that these ladies have for us on these kids. So,
Chairman, members of the board, summer work started yesterday, and this was a year where we had a lot more kids. I don't know if that has to do with the economy or what, but typically we're around 80, somewhere between 75 to 85 applications countywide, and this year we had 110 countywide. We had areas where even more participation than in the past. Over in Hayden-Winkleman area, we had 19 positions available, and we had, I believe, 42 applications over there. Payson, for the first time ever, we had 10 applicants up in Payson. So
typically we have a hard time. Payson usually wants about 4 or 5. Typically we get maybe 3 or 4, so we were able to fill not only the town of Payson's requests, but also the county requests up there. And as usual, we get a couple of the little funny ones. We had a boy that was 15 and he wanted a mechanics position. A lot of mechanics this year, for whatever reason, boys wanted to work in the shop. So that was not only, well, that was countywide. One of the things that we're doing is because we started off, our process is we interview every single kid. So we interviewed 105 applicants countywide. I'd like to figure out a method to reduce that a little bit or make it move a little bit faster or get other people to participate. Because Larissa and I went over to the Hayden-Winkleman area and we did 40 interviews between the hours of 9:15 and 2:45. She didn't even let us have a break for lunch. So we do those. I mean, they're just one after the other. And I have to say, once again, these kids are phenomenal. I mean, they give the best interviews they have. I mean, they're all on time. I don't think we had anybody that was not on time, you know, because we kind of try to, you know, maybe weed them out that way. They just don't bother to show up, but they all show up, every single one of them. And one of the things that they told us throughout was that this program has gotten a lot of interest. Everybody talks about it. You know, I've heard about this from my cousin who did it last year, year before, and they all really look forward to it. They were waiting. We didn't have any issues anywhere with like saying like an area, like sometimes it'll be Payson, that we don't get enough applicants. And the last weekend before it closed, we got 5 applications from Payson. We had 5 applications in Young, which is also a tough area too, because they just don't have the age group necessarily that we need. But like I said, we got them all. We filled every single position. Didn't have a problem anywhere. I've been talking to Sherry. We want to do like a kind of like a recap and start right now for next year about how we can make it work better next year and not be so hectic towards the end. And I'd also like to find, because we were only able to place, out of the 109 that we got, we were only able to place, say 70 to 80 of those. I'd like to find some outside money so we could put kids in the private sector, because I think that would really help a lot. You could put them in doctor's offices, we could put them with nonprofits, the hospital. We've talked to Neil about that before, and just see where else we could place them. But we just need to look for some other money, because our government money obviously can't be spent in the private sector. So if anybody has any thoughts, I will be asking a couple of different county departments to sit on us now so that we can be ready for next year about how we can make it work better. But thank you guys for.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, thank you.
And Larissa, everybody involved. With that, I think we spoke a little bit last time about Lion Springs Road. There was a push from the state to take that money and put it towards another road project. And Troy, do you or Alex have anything update on that?
Yeah, thank you, Supervisor, Board of Supervisors. Yeah, the state's going to be, is it just the work study this Thursday? So this Thursday, they have a work study session that they're gonna be doing where they'll be talking about it, but they won't be taking any action. And I believe on the 20th? The 20th in Payson, they're actually gonna vote on whether or not they're gonna reallocate the funding from Lion Springs project to 347 in Maricopa to get that project up and going. So they got the work study this Thursday and then the voting on it in Payson on the 20th.
Okay, thank you. And that's something I'm real interested in staying on top of. We've been a long time working on this and we need to keep it going. So, and Troy, one more thing while you're standing there that I have is I wanted to thank you guys and everybody involved with getting that oil contract done. That's going to work out very well. I know you guys really scrambled and did a lot of hard work on that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I have to thank Carrie and Olivia and Christy. Those were the 3 champions of that, getting that going and getting that before you guys on the next council or board meeting here on the 17th. So without them, it wouldn't have happened.
So thank you, ladies, for everything, and yeah, that was a huge help right there for our projects.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
My last thing is on the Mexican wolves. And Representative Gosar is trying to float a bill through to delist the wolf. It's been tried before, it's been shot down, it didn't go through. There's no doubt there would be a big fight over that one. I'm not sure what would really take place there. They are gathering up resolutions from counties to support that. I'm just throwing that out there. And Mr. James, I'll talk to you more about that later. I did sign a letter with ECO on some solutions that we put into Game and Fish and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service wolf problem, especially in the southeast. And they did implement a couple of those items that we pointed out, and it did make a big impact. And so there's a lot of movement there on this issue, and it's going to be a big fight. The NGOs, they're going to end up filing lawsuits and everything else, I'm sure, as things come up, but it's expected, and hopefully we can keep pushing forward on things and help the problems there. And so, Mr. Chair, with that, I think that's all I have at this time.
Thank you. It's good to hear about the youth program. In fact, the young man, he just had to leave the room, but he's with Eric's office, and so he's one of the youth involved. So it's really good to see that. And I was also going to mention the oil and all that. We're back on track with all of our projects. And that's great. And I got to put credit to the road department up there. I got people in the East Verde estates that are having trouble with drainage, and it's all the same kind of a story, you know. Things have changed, or the culvert's clogged, or the neighbor did something. Well, anyway, people were so happy to get that fixed, and it was kind of pretty simple, I think. But man, it's like they really appreciate that stuff. So I really appreciate our department doing that. And we did get rain a couple nights ago, so that was nice. And I presume the cleaned out culvert worked fine. So anyway, that's all I have. So unless there's anything else.
One more.
Yes, sir.
If this is Appreciation Day, I appreciate the oil getting done. I thought that was a difficult deal for this time of year, so that's a great deal. But also too, my hat's off to facilities, because some of these major projects that they're taking on and doing it over time, and there's just a couple of them in facilities. My hat's off to those guys, because a lot of those things we don't see, and you know, these are some major projects that they're overseeing, and a major list of them. So being where hats off, my hat's off to facilities today as well as the road department.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen, and we are adjourned.